So here we are at one of the most dangerous places in this supermarket. It's the end caps of the aisles. And this is where you're going to find death in a bottle.
This is designed to trap you.
That's right. This is what we find as the major cause of obesity in America, of diabetes and heart disease, even cancer. It's liquid calories. It's liquid death. Now, you think, oh, this tastes good. What's going to little harm me? I don't drink it every day. But you know what? One can of soda a day increases a kid's chance of being overweight by 60%. So tell us what you think about giving this to your 7-year-old daughter.
Well, if you would not give your child a beer, you should not give your child soda because it's processed in the liver the same way ethanol is, number one. Number two, they found that if you give your child a Coke before you give them dinner, they will eat an average of 300 calories more at that meal.
That's right. The more calories you drink, the more you eat. You don't actually reduce the amount of food you take in because of the extra calories you get in the liquid. You actually eat more. So people who actually drink liquid calories eat more total calories in a day. And the most simple, effective way to lose weight and feel better is to not drink your calories.
So if you don't like your kids, give them soda.
Yeah, you know what? One thing I would say, I thought about this a lot, but we have a dog. I have a lab, and you have a dog, really cute little poodle. And, I realized, why would I feed my kids things that I wouldn't even feed my dog?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't give my dog French fries, a hot dog, big soda. I mean, would you?
Absolutely not.
And we spend more feeding our dogs and taking care of them than even educating our children around the world. So we need to think about how we keep our kids healthy by giving them real whole fresh food.
And this goes for fruit juice.
This is the first place to stay away from.
Right.
Breakfast is a big question for people, and here's another very dangerous place that you have to stay away from as you're hunting in the supermarket. It's the end cap of the cereal aisle. Now, what they do is they put the worst cereals right at the end, the ones that are the worst for you. In fact, food marketing is done the most for the worst quality foods. So if you look at the cereals that are the worst for you, they spend the most money advertising. And here we have cereal that breaks one cardinal rule of eating, which is do not have any cereal that turns your milk a different color. Now,
I love that.
Tana, I know I was at your house this week. We had a great time, and I want to know what you served for breakfast, because what you gave me for breakfast was so fulfilling, so satisfying, and it didn't come in a box, and it didn't have a lot of coloring in it, except for natural colors. So tell me what you had.
My favorite thing for breakfast are smoothies because you can put the greatest things in smoothies, especially for kids. They love the taste and they have no idea what's in it. So for breakfast, we do fruit smoothies with no more than one piece of fruit in it. And I can hide spinach in there and avocados, and I balance it out with protein and some healthy fat, nuts,
You even put
flax seeds.
cocoa nibs in it, right? Like chocolate.
Absolutely,
little
raw
crunchy
cacao nibs
chocolate.
that are unsweetened. And I can put flax in there and vitamin D. I put so many great things in there. And a little extra fiber to slow down the absorption of the sugar from the fruit.
It's fantastic. And if it sounds a little weird, it's a little strange. It's a little different stuff than you're used to eating. But trust
it tastes
me,
great.
Was fantastic. And
It's
it kept
raw.
me going all day.
It's raw and healthy, but it's a perfect balance of carbohydrates, healthy carbohydrates, fats, and protein, and it will sustain you.
And the thing you want to remember about breakfast is you don't want to have sugar for breakfast. You want to have protein. That's going to help you lose weight, maintain your energy, and keep your mind clear because it's going to provide all the amino acids you need to think.
And the protein focuses your mind.
That's right. All right, so let's go down the aisle and see what we can find down here.
So what do you think about this one? This one looks healthy.
Well,
It's
looks
helps
good,
reduce
right?
cholesterol.
Yeah, oatmeal squares,
Right.
lots of fiber.
Hint of brown
helps
sugar.
reduce cholesterol.
And only a hint of
Yeah,
sugar.
3 grams of fiber, lowers low in saturated fat and cholesterol, reduce the risk of heart disease. You think this is good for you?
Sounds good.
Right?
Yeah, I like that one.
Well, let's see. Let's look at the label. Let's see. It's got oats and wheat. Okay, then it's got sugar, brown sugar, maltodextrin,
Oh my gosh.
barley, molasses.
You're
That's
kidding.
like 5 different kinds of sugar.
And they're in the beginning, the top of the list.
And then there's all this other stuff. What's yellow 5? Is that a food?
No, it's a dye.
Isn't that what they?
Ooh.
Isn't that what bananas are? Yellow 5? No.
Wow.
And then there's there's yellow 6.
Oh,
and yellow
2 food
5. So,
dyes.
let's see. This is mostly sugar with a few little oats
Imagine
and wheat
that.
sprinkled in there. And I love the American Heart Association, but the fact that oatmeal reduces cholesterol and it's mostly sugar is just a
You don't
bunch of
think they paid for that,
hooey.
do you?
No. In fact, a good friend of mine, David Ludwig, is a professor at Harvard. He did a study with three groups of kids. He gave them whole oats, he gave them just instant oats, and he gave them an omelet. And the best breakfast was the omelet. The kids who ate
absolutely.
the regular oats, their blood sugar shot up, their insulin shot up, they got stress hormones, they were hungry, they ate 80% more food in the one day that they had the instant oatmeal for breakfast. So although we're all trained to think instant oats are good for you, or even these labels that claim to have health benefits are good, they're not. So if you want to remember a simple rule, if there's a label that has a health claim on it, avoid the food. It's likely really not healthy for you. It's just a little bit of a false advertising here.
And how many grams of sugar are in this, by the way?
Well, there's 44 grams of carbohydrates in a serving.
And let's remember, a carbohydrate, a sugar is a sugar is a sugar. So a carbohydrate has to be broken down into its simplest form, which is a sugar, in order to be used.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Well, good thing we dodged that bullet.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so now we're at the oil section, and of course we all need oils and our bodies need oils, but what about the oils we're eating in America? This is kind of what most of us use, right? We use
And most of us don't know the difference in oils.
Right. I mean, we use vegetable oil, we use corn oil. In fact, we use soy oil. When it says vegetable, it's probably soybean oil, which is about 10% of our calories. But, is that good for us? Well, what's interesting is that we have been eating way too many of these omega-6 vegetable oils. We got about 20 times or 30 times the amount we should be eating compared to the good oils. Now, there's good fats and bad fats. These are the bad fats. So when you're hunting and gathering in the supermarket, be sure to avoid these processed, refined omega-6 oils.
They create inflammation in your body, which is not a good thing.
That's right. So what kind of oils do you think we should use? We have some down here that look pretty good, right?
Right. Grapeseed oil. We've got olive oil.
Yeah, olives. They're a great source of oils, and they're actually good for you.
Another one of my favorites is coconut oil. It's not shown here, but that's a good one for cooking with.
And you know what I like is this is extra virgin olive oil. And this is really the kind of olive oil you should be using, which is the least refined olive oil.
Right.
It tastes great. It's great on salads. You can sprinkle on your vegetables. It's a great source of oils in your diet, and it has a lot of antioxidants and oleic acid. It's very protective.
And one thing about oils, a note about oils should be the color of the thing they came from. They should be as close to the color of the thing they came from. If they're a very light color, then they've been processed too much. So usually they should be dark in color. Those are nice. Those are the virgin olive oils. So.
Right. So good. So let's talk about protein. We talked about the sugars and the cereals and the bad carbs.
Right.
And the high sugary carbs. We've talked about the bad oils, a little bit about the good oils. Let's talk about protein. Let's go to the protein section and see if we can find some proteins that maybe aren't so good for us.
Right.
All right. All right, we've been hunting for a little while in the supermarket, and we came across this section, which is the fried chicken section. Now, chicken's not bad for you, but depends how they kind of make it and what's on it. And this is deep fried chicken, which is full of extra oil, even more oil that's in the chicken in the first place. So this is really not a place you want to hang out too much or where you want to get your protein. When we go through the supermarket, we often find some proteins that are not so great for us, like beef. Now, beef is a sort of an American staple, and I think that some beef is okay in your diet. But, when we look at how much we're eating about 8 times the amount of beef we should be eating. To grow animals for human consumption takes about 70% of the world's agricultural surface, which could be growing plants, which are much healthier for us. So we need to kind of downsize on the meat. And when you look at this meat, it's marbled with saturated fat, and it's also, unfortunately, fed corn. So most of the beef that you're eating is actually eating corn, which it's not supposed to eat, and that makes the fats in the beef much worse. So for example, if you have a range-fed cow or a range-fed beef, a grass-fed beef, it has 500% less saturated fat than a cow that's raised in a feedlot, which is most of what you get in a supermarket.
So it should be hormone-free, antibiotic-free, and one of the rules, if you noticed at our house, we had 3 salads on the table.
That's right.
For the little bit of protein you had. Everything we have is hormone-free, antibiotic-free. We had wild fish. We occasionally have some meat, very little beef, but usually it's fish.
That's right.
A little bit of lamb, occasionally beef, but for the amount of meat you get, our rule is always 70% water content rich foods for the little bit of concentrated foods that we eat. And out of that 30% of concentrated foods, some of that might be grains. So the amount of meat is cut way down.
Yeah, you just want to, half your plate vegetables, a
At
little bit
least.
quarter of grain, and maybe a quarter of your plate
Right.
has some protein. And that's a simple way to think of it. 50, 25, 25. Just make your plate the right divide in
Absolutely.
sections and you'll be fine. Now, we've gone through the fats, the sugars, the meats. Let's find out what we can eat here, because so far there's nothing we found that we
Sounds
can
like a
really
lot
eat,
of
right?
don't do's.
So let's find out what's actually here that's good for you, because
there's a lot of great
There's a lot of great
things.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you know what's amazing is this is actually a drugstore. You can get drugs that are going to kill you in here, which is the bad fats, sugars, and the meats that we talked about.
I always say there's a
Or-
lot of drugs that'll take you on a really bad trip you don't want to go
That's
on.
right. And you can also find drugs that are healing, medicine, medicinal foods. Food is medicine. I lived in China, and we said there that you eat your medicine.
That's
in
right.
China, food is medicine. And here we're going to show you how to take a trip to eat food that doesn't taste like medicine, but that actually is like a healing medicinal food for your body. So let's go on a little journey to the good sections of the supermarket. And you know what? Mostly they're around the outside of the aisle. Now there's some good stuff in the aisles if you're nowhere to hunt and gather, and we'll show you more about that, but we want to go to the good places where you can find really amazing, nutritious, alive food that's going to keep you healthy and help you lose weight
do
and
this.
stay smart.